What is up, guys? So today, a lot of people have been asking for it, and so today I'm just going to do the video for it. A lot of people have been asking to see my Swimbait collection in its entirety. Now, I've got pretty much most of my swim baits here. I'm going to show you guys kind of quickly on what I've got, what I've been fishing. It's not a crazy big collection like some people have. It's just the baits that I have, I use, and I abuse it. And so I really just have like one of each. I never have really any backups unless it's like soft baits or anything like that. But when it comes down to like the hard baits, pretty much have one of one. And if I lose one, then I have to go out and buy another one. But it's just the collection that I have that I like to use. So let's get right into the video today. Alright, so jumping right into it, pretty much like the soft baits that I've been throwing around from like the past year or so have pretty much just been the working class zero baits. So the Citizen here and then the Shad here. These two have been pretty much just the ones that I've been throwing around. Of course, the Citizen is brand new. It's pretty much been the bait that I've been throwing though as of like the past few bass trips. And of course the Shad, I've caught like a few fish on it, 2 flatheads and a largemouth on it. But I love both of these baits so far, and I can't wait to actually start sticking really nice fish on these baits. I love the profile, I love the swim of it, I love how I can get them down into like the rocks and not have to worry about snagging them just because they are weedless, they use a beast hook, and they're really nice baits. So huge shout out to Mike Gilbert over at Working Class Zero for making some super sick baits. Alright, so moving on, we're going to be looking at the Duo. This is the Duo Oni Masu. Now, a buddy of mine gave me a few of these baits to fish from Duo Realis, and I've swam a few of them. I've got a few extra ones that I've given to like one of my buddies, and I fish personally. It's definitely a different kind of swim. It's a lot more erratic than what most glide baits are nowadays, which I'm actually liking the more erratic style of baits lately. And the Oni Masu from Duo is definitely one of those baits that has the more erratic action to it. So moving on, we have these 2 baits that are coming from Keisu. It's a Japanese company. My buddy who sent me the Duo Realis baits actually also sent me these over. Now these are super sick baits. They come in like this awesome like wood box straight from Japan. And let me pull out the baits and show you guys. So this first one is called the Masumune. Now it's pretty much doesn't look like much from the outside, but taking a closer look at this bait, it has a bunch of different crazy features to this crazy looking bait. Now down here under the chin there's like a hole, and this hole leads to the back, and there's these 2 holes that come out on the other side, and you have this very light little tail in the back. And all you do with this bait is you throw it out there and you just swim it. It's like I'm pretty sure it's like a subsurface type of bait. Creates a small little wake on top of the water, and like this little tail, it doesn't do a whole lot of action. There's no gliding to it or anything like that. It's not like crazy or anything. It's very subtle and light. Hopefully I'll be getting out again soon to get you guys like a swim video of this thing, but the action is very subtle, and it's made pretty much to be like a subsurface top water bait, and it looks really good though. So this is the Masumune by Keisu, and then we have the Kotetsu. Now this is your traditional style glide bait, but with a little bit of a twist on it. It's tiny. It's really small, but you guys can see that the hooks are on top actually, and like there's even a hook in the fin. Like this bait's crazy looking, and it's I've swam it. It's a very slow style, so you kind of just swim it real slow, and you can bump it along the cover and on the bottom. So it gives that glide bait presentation more on the bottom where the fish really haven't seen it before. It's definitely a sweet looking bait. Kind of afraid to even throw it, but it's awesome looking, and I love just the overall design of the bait. Moving on with even more Japanese JDM style baits, I have this guy. This is called the Roman Made Flicker. Now I haven't seen a whole lot of dudes have this bait even in the States, and it's this bait's actually kind of crazy. It's like it looks absolutely crazy. And I remember when I first got it in, I was like kind of freaking out because I'd seen this bait from Roman Made like a long time ago, and I completely forgot about it. Now I've thrown it a few times to see like the swim on it, and it's got a crazy action. So in the front and in the back they have like these bills, And what these bills do is they push water in such a way that the bait literally shimmies like this, side to side. So it's really, really erratic. It swims just like this in the water. And it's like a subsurface, it's like a super shallow diver bait. Now, it's definitely a different style of Roman made that a lot of people have not really seen. I don't even think that they ever brought them over to the United States. I might be wrong, but I haven't really seen a whole lot of dudes have it. So I'm very blessed to have this bait, and I want to see if I can catch some fish on it. It looks really dope. Got some nice hardware it comes with, and just overall, it's a completely different style of bait that I've ever really even seen or fished before. So it's awesome what the JDM dudes come up with, you know, to hopefully try and catch bigger bass out that way. Alright, so moving on to the next Roman made bait that I've got here. A little lesser known of the Roman made baits, and that is the Roman made South. It's a little bluegill bait that they make. It's a topwater bait. Has this super loud clacking noise. And so it's just a really small bluegill imitating bait. They throw it, you know, as like a topwater bait. It's got a really nice weight to it. I can also clack it really hard if I like use a rod tip. It's a sweet little bait, absolutely sweet little bait. Not a whole lot to it except for like the facial features, and even like the color is sick. It's like this blue and yellow. And again, like not a whole lot of people even like have the South here. I know a few places that do have them, but again, it's not really a bait that a whole lot of dudes use, and so I think it's really sick. And moving on with the last Roman made bait that I've got that everybody knows about, that's the Roman made Mother. This is the Mother. This is the bait that everybody has seen in videos, has heard about, that it costs $400, $500 and this and that, and this is the bait. I've got just one of them. I know some dudes that have a lot of these. They have like 4 or 5 of these, but I just have the one, and this is the one that I like a lot. This is in the white snake color, a limited color that they released. Giant bait, as you guys can obviously see, but this is my Roman made Mother. It's one of my favorite swim baits of all time, just because of the size of it and just the history of the Mother. And like as a kid growing up into the swim bait thing, the Roman made Mother was like the bait that I always wanted to have.
Little rock down there. Here we go, dude. We passed the rock. Nothing off that big. Got one. Dude, oh shit. I'm just gonna flip her, dude. Okay. Oh! Woo!
Never mind.
Never mind, brother.
Off that shit.
That's what I'm talking about.
Alright, second ever Mother fish. Just freaking smoked it. A little fatty on the Mother. Moms, my buddy.
It happened today twice, baby.
Alright, so moving on, we have another JDM style bait. Now this is the Balham 300. Now this bait is from Optimum, and it was pretty much produced over in Japan when it first released. And it's a 12-inch bait. You guys have maybe seen like a video of it. And like this is that one bait that you see the dudes like figure eighted, you know, on top of the water, and the fish come up and hammer it. So this is the bait right here. I've only thrown it a few times. I've gotten bit on it, and like it's a super fast bait, and it doesn't have like a whole crazy amount of action. It's more subtle. As you guys can probably see, the joints here are more in the back, and then it gives like this crazy swim. It's a crazy looking bait. I know a few of my buddies like to throw this bait. They've caught some really nice fish on it and dumped a lot of big fish on it. So it's a good bait. I like it. Hopefully I can catch some big ones on it, hopefully soon. Alright, so moving on to the next couple baits. Now these are the DRT clashes. You guys have seen me do quite a few videos on these baits. This is the 9-inch version, and then this is the 6-inch version, the Tiny Clash, and then the Clash 9. Now, I've thrown the Clash 9, I've had it for over like a year now. Caught a lot of nice fish on this bait. I absolutely love the swim of the bait. A whole lot of people don't like the swim of the bait just because they can't really control it, or it's just like too erratic for them. To me, this bait is just like the most perfect erratic glide bait I've thrown in a long time, honestly. It's up there with like the HPH. And like the way that this thing swims in the water, it's just very like, really quickly side to side, and like just love how, erratic this bait is. I mostly fish it in the glide mode. So that's like the tail in mode B, and then the lip out. Most of my success on this bait has come in the glide mode. I fished it with like the lip in and then like the tail in mode A before, and it's like a crankbait. It's really, really erratic, and it swims just down there. I like to bump like shallow rocks with it. I've gotten bit on it before, but I just don't have a whole lot of confidence, and just like the way that I think my fish will hit some of these baits like that size as like a crankbait. I mean, I might get back into it, but I picked up the Tiny Clash pretty much for that reason. Now, with the Tiny Clash, I don't really like the glide mode on it. It's a lot harder to control, so I've kept the lip in, and then I've got the V-tail as well as just a regular tail that comes with it. I've been kind of experimenting with this bait like the past couple trips. I like the swim of it. I can see where it can get bit. I see like why a lot of dudes like this bait, and hopefully I can get bit on this bait pretty soon. It's a nice smaller bait profile. So like a lot of dudes, they think that the Clash might be too big for their fish. Well, luckily they make a smaller version, and it's a dope little swim bait, and hopefully I can catch a fish on it. I know Phoenix just smoked a nice one when we were in California on a Tiny Clash, so I know he's a fan of it now. But hopefully I can catch a fish on this very soon. Hopefully I can catch a big one on it too. Moving on from the JDM baits, let's get into some American baits. One of my favorite baits of all time, and that is the High Power Herring Shad Glide. This is the 9-inch version. It's one of my favorite glide baits of all time, one of my favorite baits of all time. I just love the realistic look of it, I love the swim of it, and I just love how it gets bites. It's such a perfect shad profile. I love the bigger size. I know that they make an 8-inch and a 6-inch version, but I love the 9-inch version. To me, the 9-inch version almost feels kind of small to me. I wish that they would make like an 11-inch version, hopefully one day, but the 9-inch version works really, really well with the lakes that I like to fish. A lot of the gizzard shads that we do have are like this size and smaller, and this bait gets bit. I know a lot of people hate it, and I'm glad that they hate it, but this is the bait that has gotten me a lot of fish. It's gotten Phoenix fish. I've seen a lot of other buddies catch really nice fish on this bait, and it's only a matter of time before I catch like a really, really giant fish on this bait. I just love the swim of it. It has crazy good flash in the water. It goes side to side. It really noses down more like this instead of like your traditional glide bait that goes like this. It goes down like this, and I think that's why a lot of people don't like the bait, but to me, I like that how it gets down deeper on like a far cast. So when I get it to the boat, it's probably down like 7 to 8 feet, and I think that's like a good zone to get bit in, where a lot of the times the people are fishing up here, while this bait will get down here and go side to side, and it's got really good flash, so it attracts those fish in, and it looks just like a gizzard shad. So I think the High Power Herring Shad Glide, the HPH, is one of the best glide baits on the market, absolutely. Alright, another smaller grade bait. Now this is the Matt Lure's Magnum Hardgill. Now I picked this bait up last fall. I fished it a little bit, and then I started to get a lot of bites on this bait. This bait came pretty clutch in the fall. Like the fish weren't acting like totally aggressive like I'm normally like seeing them, but with this bluegill bait and like the way that I was watching like these fish feed like early morning, middle of the day, even into the evenings, they were feeding on a lot of bluegill up shallow. And like this bait, I was able to throw it up against those rocks, give it like a few cranks, and then we were just slamming fish on this bait. This bait's beat up, you guys can probably tell, chunks missing out of it. I've had a lot of buddies throw it. Quite a few people have caught fish on it. It's a nice little bait, super realistic, as you guys can probably tell. Of course, when the paint's all messed up, but super realistic, gets bit. I love like the thump on this bait. This bait just pushes a lot of water, and when you reel it in, you can feel it thumping with the rod tip. It moves a lot of water. It's got a really, really nice profile, 8 inches long, lighter weight bait. So I think this is like one of the most perfect bluegill baits out there to fish. Now, especially like a lot of the baits that I have are glide baits. Now, this is one of the very few baits that I have that are segmented, but I love this one segmented bait. I've had segmented baits before in the past. I just wasn't a huge fan of them, but this bait has actually just exceeded my expectations like by a crap ton. It's gotten me a lot of fish. Not really big ones, just a lot of like 4 to 6 pounders, which is kind of cool to see them come up and hit this thing. So That's a Matt Lewis hardgill. Love this bait. Now, I don't throw top water a whole lot. As you guys can tell, most of these baits are like slow sinks, and I don't have like a whole lot of confidence in top water. I've gone through my fair share of top water baits in the past. I've sold them or traded them or gave them to other people just because I didn't feel like I was going to get bit on them. Now, the one top water bait that I do have is a staple though. It's the 8-inch Black Dog Baits Lunker Punker. This is one of their older models, not an OG, but just one of their older models, and it swims really, really nice. I love this bait. I've caught like a couple fish on the punker. I've even gotten bit at urban spots on the punker. The punker is pretty much just a giant spook. That's all that it really is. And you can bomb this thing super far, side to side on top of the water. And like, it's a cool bait. I know a lot of dudes love to throw this bait. Some people even throw it for really giant stripers. People throw it, I've seen, for yellowtail and tuna, and just a wide variety of different game species. But if you think about it, a spook is one of the most universal topwater baits ever. Like, every single predatory fish will hit a spook. No matter if it's freshwater, saltwater, river system, lake, ocean, doesn't matter. Spook, a bait fish like this on top of the water, signals something in the predator's head like, yo, I'm gonna smash this thing. And of course, this thing, at being 8 inches long, it's supposed to represent a trout. We like to throw this during like the winter time. So when it's like the trout are up on top of the water, it's supposed to imitate a trout. Sometimes during like the summer, I'll even throw this because sometimes topwater, fishing can be just absolutely insane. Get a lot of blow-ups from big fish. And at that point, you're pretty much imitating maybe like a largemouth or like a bluegill that's on top of the water in the early mornings or anything like that. Really cool bait. I love to throw it. Sadly, I haven't caught a fish on a punker in many, many years, but I just have one just in case. I feel like throwing top water one morning and hoping for a bite. But yeah, Black Dog Baits, Lunker Punker, 8 inches. Rounding it up, one of my favorite baits, but in a sort of different fashion that you guys normally will see it. That's the Depths 250. Now this is a silent killer though. This is a silent killer. You guys could probably tell. He's got this really big bill up here in the front of the bait. And then, you guys probably can't see it, but in this tail section here, there's a weight. And with that weight there in the bill, there's no weight in this slot. There's a slot here, and then a slot down here with like a lead weight. This top slot here, no weight at all. So it's a floating bait. Now what you do with this, you just throw it out there and you crank it. It's pretty much turns into a big crankbait. It swims like this, it goes down there. And I just wanted to see if I can get bit on it. Now, my whole thought process on it was to convert it into a slide swimmer. Now, converting, all that means is where you take off the bill, you take out this weight, and you put some weight here in the slot, so it turns pretty much into a slow sinking slide swimmer. That's pretty much my game plan at the end of the day. I just wanted to see if I can fish this and show them something that they've really never seen before, because everybody that knows will pick up an SK like this and immediately just convert it. So I don't know, I will of course convert it one day, but this is one of my favorite colors. It's the Flash Carp. Kind of a harder color to find. This is an OG model, and this is one of my favorite colors of all time. I've thrown the Flash Carp before. I've caught fish on the Flash Carp, and I think just overall, if you're gonna get a color for any type of lake that you're fishing on, trout or no trout, I think you can't go wrong with the carp color. Just because if you think about it, I haven't really seen baby carp before. I've seen maybe like a few in my life, but all the baby carp I've ever seen are either dead or they're just like non-existent. You only see really big carp. So my thinking on it is that if you think about it, carp, they're very slimy. They have like slender. They don't have like really that many pointy fins. So maybe like the smaller carp are easy to like suck down for the bass, and they might act like summertime trout for these fish. So can't go wrong with the carp color. But this is the OG Silent Killer 250 by Depths. Awesome, awesome bait. Everybody knows about the 250, but this is the Silent Killer version. So hopefully I can catch a fish on it one day. That'd be sick. Now the last bait, bait that you guys have all seen and know and heard about, that is one of my favorite baits of all time, and that is the Huncle Trout. Now I've been throwing this bait since 2015. Not this specific one because I lost my original Huncle that I had. Sad. It was actually really, really sad. Big bummer, but I tried looking for an OG one. My buddy had this one. It's like an older model, and I think the older models will swim a lot better than the new ones. The new ones swim just fine, regular, but I just like the older style. I think they sink better, and I think they track in the water a little bit straighter. Now this bait is absolutely one of my favorite baits of all time. Just even looking at this bait just gives me hype to go throw it. It's the Huncle Trout. That's pretty much all the baits that I've got. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys kind of enjoyed to see the kind of swim baits that I've got. But other than that, if you guys have any other swim bait topics you guys would like to see or talk about, just leave them down in the comment section below. I'll get right to them and hopefully I can make some videos on it. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. And as always, go out there and chase your dreams.